The devastating Soweto riots and their aftermath have shocked South Africans, black and white, into hard recognition of their country's complex race relations. In and around the townships and shantytowns, pupil power, black power and rampant hooliganism have exploded into a bloody conflagration which has so far left over 100 dead and which will cost the country an estimated 50 million rand.
The student riots of 1976 was one of the factors that brought the apartheid to its knees.
Nelson Mandela, the leader of the anti-apartheid movement, was arrested in 1962, and his political party, the African National Congress, was banned. Over the next 2 decades, brutal government action against anti-apartheid activists had brought the movement to a standstill. It was during these times that young people in the township of Johannesburg, called Soweto, managed to reignite the movement.
Our parents were very much afraid, especially after the banning of ANC and the KC, the arrests of Mandela. So there was that period of fear among the black people. So no one wanted to involve he or herself in politics because he knew the consequences thereafter. There was this torture, there was this arrest from the police and so on.
South Africans had been living under the system of apartheid since 1948. Citizens were divided by race and kept separate through an elaborate system of laws that governed all aspects of daily life. Even though black people were in the majority, they were denied the right to vote in national elections. The educational system was designed not to educate young black students as intellectuals or professionals, but instead to prepare them to serve the privileged white upper class.
Apartheid went further to divide the schools into a racial grouping. There were white schools and there were black schools that were divided ethnically. Well, of course, the white schools were so advantaged with so many things, especially in terms of resources. They had all the resources as compared to the black schools in Soweto.
In 1974, the apartheid government issued a decree that Afrikaans would be the language of instruction in all South African schools. Afrikaans was the language of the white Dutch minority, and though it had been taught as a foreign language in black South African schools, most subjects had been taught in English or the students' native languages. The decree forced teachers to teach all subjects in Afrikaans.
It was a chaos in our schools. Some our teachers would come in, have a Afrikaans dictionary, and come and teach us. They could not even understand what they were teaching themselves.
The decree enraged students, who began to show their discontent. One student wrote in an editorial in The World, a Johannesburg daily newspaper, "Our parents are prepared to suffer under the white man's rule. They have been living for years under these laws, and they have become immune to them. But we strongly refuse to swallow an education that is designed to make us slaves in the country of our birth." On June 16, 1976, between 15,000 and 20,000 students in Soweto poured out of their classes and marched in their school uniforms. Police dogs and tear gas were used against them, just as they had been used against peaceful protesters in Birmingham, Alabama. Tragically, however, in Soweto, the police also used guns.
Now, the aim of this march was to pledge that solidarity and sing the national anthem, then go home. But because of the mistake that was done by police of shooting a student by the name of Hector Peterson, now everything started to be out of hand. So many students were shot, and so many students were arrested. Violence did not stop. It spread to other townships.
Riots continued across the country for the rest of the year, during which time students set fire to government buildings and other symbols of the apartheid regime. It was a spark that rekindled the fight against apartheid. Nelson Mandela wrote about the student uprisings from his prison cell on Robben Island. At the forefront of this 1976-77 wave of unrest were our students and youth. They come from the universities, high schools, and even primary schools. They are a generation whose whole education has been under the diabolical design of the racists to poison the minds and brainwash our children into docile subjects of apartheid rule. But after more than 20 years of Bantu education, the circle is closed, and nothing demonstrates the utter bankruptcy of apartheid as the revolt of our youth. The movement would falter and revive again several more times in the decade between the student movement and the collapse of the apartheid regime. However, the black majority continued their struggle for equality and eventually triumphed.
Today, I'm a teacher. Through the struggles of South Africa, if those unrest did not take place, I wouldn't be here. The history of that time shaped my career, it shaped my behavior, it shaped my ideas, that I can know that another person is a human being as well.